The success in the United States, the success in kind of defanging the labor movement has been significant. And that means, first of all, reducing the scale of organizing, but also implementing a culture in which it's considered the wrong thing to do. It's like the Mohawk Valley methods again. It's breaking Americanism and harmony. And the labor union, a lot of working people think that the unions are just a bunch of corrupt bosses, and that's that's really driven home very intensively. It's nothing new. I mean, you go back to, it's like, for example, around the early 50s, maybe 1953, there were two major films that came out about the labor movement. One of them was On the Waterfront, Marlon Brando. That one became a huge hit. The theme of that was corrupt union bosses, and the brave worker, Marlon Brando, stands up to them and ends up throwing the union boss in the water. Everybody cheers. That was one, incidentally directed by a guy who's a target of McCarthy because he was considered too far left. The other one was Salt of the Earth, which just disappeared. A far better film, and a really moving and evocative and very well done low-budget film on the success of a strike, the workers' struggle and their success and so on. So that one, they're not going to show that in major film houses, so it quickly, I'm not going to review it in the press, so it quickly disappeared. And that's the pattern that's been said. It's been pretty well studied, but it's a very evident pattern. And it has led to attitudes of fear and hatred of unions and fear and hatred of government. So, you attack the possibilities of organization, which already undermines democracy, and you attack democracy. And it's just a massive theme. Schools, newspapers, the arts, and so on. And I think it has, to a significant extent, succeeded in keeping people passive, disorganized. They may not like what's going on. In fact, recent polls showed maybe 80% of the population thinks that, in the words of the polls, that the country is run by a few big interests looking out for themselves. The government doesn't work for the people. But people don't feel they can do anything about it. Okay, that's the way life is. Government's run by a few big interests. We're just sitting and watching. We try to hang on to what we can. And there's a major effort to build in a kind of a cult of strange form of individualism. You're supposed to look after yourself, but don't care about anyone else. That's, I think, the prime reason why there's such a concerted attack against Social Security, with all kind of fabricated claims about its insolvency and so on and so forth, mostly total fabrication. But the big problem with Social Security is it runs counter to the doctrine that you're only supposed to care about yourself. I mean, Social Security is a system in which you're supposed to care whether the elderly widow across town has enough food to eat, and that's un-American. You're supposed to just care whether you have an extra television set, and that's just driven into people, right in the schools, like in Massachusetts, liberal suburban communities. I discovered, to my amazement, that the schools are running curricula that are given to them, packaged by the Objectivist Foundation, the Ayn Rand Foundation. So they come in and they, with a whole package. Here's the books, here's the tests, here's the prizes, here's the contests, here's what you teach in class. For the school superintendents, it's great. Somebody's doing all my work for me for free. Why should I object? The teachers can just be mechanical. You go through what's doing it, and that's what the kids are learning. I mean, it's kind of unimaginable in a free society, but it's happening. If it's happening in the suburbs of Boston, right now.
Wow.
I mean, I just found out about it because My daughter found that her son was coming home with this stuff.
Wow.
But and if it's happening right in the suburbs of Boston, you can imagine what's going on elsewhere.